Hello and welcome back. We are continuing our series where we work on this project called I Don't Know What I'm Doing. And don't mind this in the background, I just like to have AI processing stuff while I do other things. So, whoa, that's pretty cool. It actually just made this. Interesting. I don't know if any of this is actually live or active, but I'm going to mess with that later. So if we go npm run dev, the only reason this is going to work is because, as we learned in a previous video, package.json, this is where our scripts are. So we do npm run dev, which will kick off the node environment. The node package manager will run database build and vite, which will act as our hot reloader. Hot reload, as we learned in a previous video. I'm going to stop doing that. Hot reload just means that when we make changes to the code base, those changes are immediately reflected in the web app that's being served. I noticed that the way that I'm approaching this is very much coding is just web apps, and that's not true. Coding could be backends to web apps. Coding could be backends to embedded hardware. So, like, one interesting thing that people use with software is they have to manage to get a bunch of logic onto a very specific size microcontroller or motherboard. Oh, perfect. We're already in the realm where I don't know what I'm doing. So we're going to start asking questions. That's what makes let's go cd I don't know what I'm doing. So over here we have it running. I just want to say make a to-do for this project that will involve wiring up all the actual things that are here. Use the adapter pattern. We want it to be malleable to whoever wants to use it. Just create a loop of finding to-dos in this directory for the express purpose of making this the best dashboard ever. This is not how I would recommend you do these things. I took a screenshot of this design that I saw. I liked it, and Claude was able to just spit it back to me. It looked like it had a bunch of fake data. What we're going to show you here, though, is cat Claude dot what do I not know what I'm doing again? I don't know what I'm doing, but cat Claude. So this is as we discussed previously, we're just going to keep reiterating the things that you really got to get right if you're going to be really powerful with Claude. Claude, the way that it works is one key component of Claude. We would prefer to just ask it. So cd, I don't know what I'm doing. But as you can see, we've opened up Claude Code. We've opened up our claude.md file. Why that's important? How does Claude access the different Claude MDs on my machine in order to come up with a response? So if I remember correctly, first it checks the root one, then it checks the one that you're currently in your current project. Then if it starts accessing another folder, it might grab Claude MDs that exist in there. So in our case, if we go cd.claude, you might be like, oh wow, there's a secret Claude file in my root directory. That's true. Look at all this stuff. There's all of this stuff. Now I'm going to keep this one a little private because I'm working on potatoes, which is this big project that one day it's just going to result in a potato empire spawning out of nowhere. It won't be overnight because I've been working on it for so long. But so if we could see this, I baked into it some things that I want. This repo has two jobs at once. It's both a teaching artifact and a personal learning engine. So we're going to be asking questions like we just asked it a question. I think our question was going to be, what are some example projects where getting logic into very small embedded hardware can be stress test? That's not a really good way to ask the question, but I think it'll get it across. The idea is some projects require, we live in an age where compute is pretty cheap. Like I have a bunch of laptops that I just don't use sometimes, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. Back in the day, like it depends on how far you go back, but there was a point where 1 kilobyte, 1 megabyte, 1 gigabyte seemed like a lot to have as random access memory. Now it's like you can't do anything with that stuff. That said, there still exist use cases where those might be useful. So, what is a use case where it is important to take heed of the size of the chip that is uh, what I'm trying to get at is like the thermal properties. What is a use case where it is important to head take take heed take heed of the size of the chip and strata? No, not strata. Substrate and substrate one might be working on such that optimal computing is necessary. In essence, I am trying to demonstrate the juxtaposition between web app development, which does not necessarily need to be perfectly optimized, versus, say, I'm thinking like moisture detection software. Thinking about it, you probably are going to have like mechanical means by which you detect moisture, but or something along those lines where the sensors are small but need to make um, autocephalous decisions like a jellyfish, how they have like a decentralized nervous system. Let's see if it'll figure that out. Autocephalous decisions like a jelly, or I think like an octopus, or the Eastern Orthodox Church. I am trying to explain that not all coding is web apps. Give me some example. I could have led with that. Definitely could have led with that. What I wanted to do this time, though, like while all this stuff runs, is so we have this. And we're seeing, all right, it should how the harness loads Claude MD. Not by reading when you ask. They are loaded once at session launch by the harness and pasted into the system prompt before the model sees your message. So this whole thing gets added to the context, which is going to like instruct how it does things. One thing that I really like to have in my systems is some type of like bang, like one shot, not one shot. In my case, it's Siyamu, and Yumatsu. Yumatsu means your understanding, my understanding, the same understanding. Siyamu is what the system will say when it tries to confirm what I'm talking about. And if it matches that, and I say Yumatsu, it's like the trigger word to execute a massive automation. But that automation is AI augmented. Like a lot of automations you can kick off, but it's just going to execute code in a deterministic way. If determinism might be the wrong word if the situation like relies on current event data, but if the automation is just doing something, we're not going to go down that path. I have a video on stochasticity and the other thing and determinism. But so what we have here, it loads all of them, right? I didn't even know this. Discovery spans several layers gathered at startup at enterprise. Okay, because I'm not on the enterprise. User global file. This is the where mine is that I'm keeping hidden. The project memory, Claude MD, and any local MDs if we were working, plus the deprecated personal. Oh, that's interesting. I guess this one's deprecated. For project memory, the harness does a recursive upward walk. For project memory, the harness, yeah, that's good. Okay. So from the current working directory, it climbs parent by parent toward, but not including the root, collecting any Claude MD it processes. So that's why when I asked the question, it built this web page. So we're 10 minutes in and we're kind of back up to speed where we usually get to. What are some example projects where getting logic into very small embedded hardware? I'm interested in this. The shared constraint is a microcontroller gives you kilobytes of RAM, a few hundred kilobytes of flash, no operating system, a clock in megahertz, not gigahertz, and sometimes a power budget in microamps. So every byte and cycle is a decision. Now this is different than when you use your $3,000 like mega machine to play Minecraft. Roughly easiest to hardest. Good first stress test. TinyML, wake word, or gesture detector. So I'm like, what I love about these systems is they let you go down the hole. So TinyML, what's TinyML? Let's just find out what TinyML is. TinyML, tiny machine, is a specialized field of AI that focuses on. Oh, I thought it was a model that focuses on machine learning models onto lower power, resource constrained embedded systems like microcontrollers. So now you might be like, well, what's a microcontroller? This might be worth taking. Okay, TinyML is one of the fastest growing areas of deep learning. Like, I think this is the direction things might be going, because if the models get good enough, you're going to have AI embedded into everything that you do. Pretty exciting. Or incredibly dystopian and get away from me. Let's go farm. TinyML, MATLAB, and Stat. I like open source projects, so MIT him. We've referenced in a standalone repo. Please follow about TinyML. Intelligent edge devices with rich sensors, billions of mobile phones, and IoT devices have been ubiquitous in our daily lives. Combining artificial intelligence in these edge devices, there are vast real-world applications such as smart homes, smart retail, autonomous driving, and so on. However, the state-of-the-art deep learning AI systems typically require tremendous amounts of resources. All right, so like maybe if I get a recurring viewer, I will pick one of these things to go deeper on. Instead, we're just going to follow my tiny brain. We're going to want to ask it to record what we learned. What is TinyML? What is TinyML? And I want this to keep building because this is going to be cool. What is TensorFlow? That's another good one. What is TensorFlow? Another thing that I wanted to like kind of explore is Firebase, or I wanted to maybe take these videos in a direction where we just go to a dashboard where there's like tons of stuff, and then I kind of break down the stuff. Maybe we're jumping the gun here. I was about to take you into a project. We might as well start here. Build. What is app check? All of these safeguard your API by preventing unauthorized clients from accessing your backend resources. Why might you want that? Why would you want to protect your resources? What if you have customer data? It's the law that you treat that with its due respect. You need to make sure that if someone's storing data with you, that it's safe. Now, I think the thing where I might excel is when I get into a new system, I'm like very quickly overwhelmed. My mind tangential. I see all of the things, and all at once I'm like, ooh, look, all the different things. But then where my brain starts to fail is when I get like too locked into a rigid like a system. What do I mean by that? Let's just so this is using a different browser. What's this? Potato Comics Builder. Let's use this one. I say a different browser, a different profile for me. We're just going to look at Firebase real quick. You know what? Let's make sure that I don't have any secret projects that I'm working on. We have Hot Potato Games. Yeah, so we can go into this one. Now, when you like start a Firebase project, you'll get something like this. Now, where I was going with, like, you see all of this stuff here. So you got stuff like Project Overview, where we have all of these different apps. So an application could be a web app, it could be an iOS app, it could be an Android app, it could be a bunch of apps. I think it could also have like a Mac OS app, maybe, or I guess in this case, it's looking for you to identify what the core thing is, whether it's like Unity or Flutter, because Unity can be used to build video games. C#, just C#. Develop. If that's something you're interested in, we might dive into it. We can, like, the whole thing with I don't know what I'm doing is this is the perfect place to go if you don't know what you're doing. Because if you don't know what you're doing, you can find what other people are doing. Maybe that's what the project actually becomes. Until then, it's if you start from the beginning, you'll just you'll stumble your way into like this massive vocabulary of words where I want to give people like this pathway where if they were to follow it, that they would have the breadcrumbs they need to develop mastery. And the key thing here is not the website that I'm building to be special, it's to build it yourself. And if you watch me from the beginning, we built it by itself. This is what it is live right now. And I'm not saying that this is like something like super spectacular, but it's enough where like it provides me value in serializing my own day. Like if I come back to this every day, And like I think maybe I think the thing missing here is like a quiz right here. You know, like should just have a quiz. Let's have a quiz. So I think they all collapsed. I think they're all. Can we? Yeah. Okay. Can we set it up so that every question has um uh a multiple choice question beside it that can be used to enrich our brains? It doesn't need its state persisted, but if you get them all right, but if I like if you but if you maintain a session, you should be able to get a score from all the questions. So okay, what we were talking about? We were gonna go through. Oh yeah, I was talking about how like the panes. You have project overview. You have settings, general. What's in general? Some project information. At some point in here, there's like private stuff, like in Firestore, but stuff that I don't have yet, like the test lab. Some people don't know this, but you can use this to run concurrent tests on your apps and games on Google hosted devices. And there's a free plan here, and even the Blaze pay as you go plan, I pay next to nothing for my usage of this, which is like I think the thing that I want this channel to be about is showing people how many free options there are for like getting started in this space. You can just start experimenting. Now, I'm one who loves to throw my credit card, my debit cards at stuff and like risk it. But at the same time, I'm also very cognizant that I'm doing that and take the necessary precautions immediately. If certain systems, when they ask for your card, don't give it to them, you know? But like for something like Firebase, I have a Google account. Much of my life is tied into Google. I dig it. So they've got stuff like I think like this one's new, SQL Connect. They never had Postgres in here before, but now it sounds like a scalable Postgres database solution for modern apps. I'm like, we're gonna dig into this at some point, but probably not yet. I haven't decided if I don't know Potato Core is going to be tied to Hot Potato Games, which is like the big bucket for potatoes, like the Firebase backend for it. But I'm all for just like mixing and mashing a bunch of them together until we have some like exciting projects. Oh, and like I haven't been posting as regularly because I'm like, I don't know. Do I want to go live with this? Do I want to share this part of it? The thing that I was working on these past few days is this thing called Cell Mobile. The first project I ever made was Explore the Cell. It was a Flutter app. It was a biological, a biology reference app. What Explore the Cell is now is I'm just going to demonstrate it, and I'm trying to come to terms with exactly where I want to go with it. Well, I know where I want to exactly the presentation. So this was the original, or this was close to what the original was. There wasn't this, and I don't really like this design element. First, I would want them separated, but it's like I'm working on a different part of it right now. I'm going to show you the part that I'm not working on right now. Learn. At first, the thing that I made was this. And then if you hit explore, if I'm doing this every time, that's embarrassing because it's actually not even that special. But first app that I made, right? But now I'm like, well, I want a bunch of games in this. So we go home, we hit play, we hit start game. I'm not like some of that stuff I'm sure is just mocked in the back end, but I have enough where I can do this. And like those need to be stretched out a little bit more. But it's basically like Mario Party or like WarioWare or like those board games where you get to play these mini games. So Spud will roll, he'll move, stay the course. Oh, why did I stay the course? He just lost his pay dirt. So pay dirt is a like mining term, but so they all roll, and then they move. They hit next player. Mash will go. There we go. Mini game time. Collider. I like this game. So AI had made this game. I have to click when they match. Bang, bang, bang. Oh, bang, 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 bang. So there's that, and then we could just we're gonna skip through some of these because like this like we just live in a stage now where you could speak these things into existence. So there's more games. Let's just keep rolling. Looks like there's a tiny little bug. Stay the course. There should be like some type of means for minigame time, molecule mixer. Like this itself is something that the AI system made. I don't need nitrogen to make methane, so why did I click that? But we need 4 hydrogens and a carbon. Bang. Now I think we're gonna need 2 oxygens for oxygen. Oxygen. It would be cool if there was like a little like info when this clicked. But I think this would be like a fun way for kids to like learn how to do chemistry. Maybe it's like less mind numbing. I think I would want to make it more obvious, like what each thing is for, where it comes from. I think a lot of these have to do with like potatoes. So hydrochloride, hydrochloric acid, and I think this will be a lot more fun on mobile because you can tap faster. Instead, I'm like using the clicker. The we didn't even get to my favorite game yet, but oh, what's this? Intervolition. Working on that too. I think one of my problems is I am breadth first because I am Brett. But okay, let's just skip through. I think there's a bug because this thing over here is what's running the app. And I just like, if I tap that, it stops it on the debugger. We're gonna, if you're watching, what was I? The Laws of the Sun. That was a fun movie. I'm treating this as a, okay. So I'm not logging it as a. Now I understand the full data path. Okay. So I'm not logging it. Yeah, what you must. Okay, so shortcut lane. I think at some point all of the like questions as instructions are gonna mess with the vibe of, okay, Atom Builder, did we do this one yet? Not mess with the vibe. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. So we need neutron, proton, neutron. Did not need that neutron. Electron, needs a proton. Of course, it's not balanced. Helium is stable. We're trying to get to neon, so we need proton, electron, proton. Too many protons. It's decaying. It's stressful. We need protons, neutrons to stabilize it. I think the safest way is to grab as many neutrons as you can at first. That's the strat. I don't even know what I need. Oh my god. Like, I think this is actually going to be fun to play with my friends. So, now I got to reach argon. Not going to happen. Okay. So we could skip. I bet these games get like very boring quickly, but let's just skip. Let's see if there's more. Skip. They should have like power-ups too and items. Like part of me, I'm just sometimes I think I'm in a rush. I'm like, I gotta finish this ASAP. But I really like how this is coming out, so I might like. We were talking when I tried to start this filming earlier today. I introduced this potatoes dashboard. CD potatoes dashboard. And I don't know if this is like completely accurate right now. I'm not really using it yet. Everything is still in like the beta stages, but let's go localhost 9. I got to be more methodical when I go through things. It's just this notion of having one project per or like a primary project per season, which like because I have a 9 to 5, I really can't devote all my time and energy to these projects. And I've also found that like I'm chipping away at them less than I am like diving deep. So with like the current project, this is supposed to be a Claude experiment. All of this was generated by Claude as well. Not the strategy for it though. What I'm getting at is right now we're working on Potato Core. That's like the personal brand where we're talking stuff through. But there's also the other thing, the next project is Hot Potato Games. And so Hot Potato Games, we've got like Potato Bank, Banking 101. We've got like these reveal question. The P and I proof investment. What does it stand for? And a mortgage payment? Principal. Oh, principal and interest. But the idea is to make this like a for Hot Potato Games, like potatoes. This one's different, but for most of these games, I guess they're all kind of different. All of these games have some purpose to serve. One of the main purposes is when you're on a call and you're doing like an icebreaker or team building exercises with your fellow coworkers. I just want apps for that. I want like little games for that. But then on top of that, I have an interest in making more like complicated games like Satori, or there's more games too, like the Hot Potato or like the Explore the Cell games. But let's see, mini game time, Collider. Oh, we already did this one, so we're closing out. I guess that's just more of like a progress report. So let's see, what is it? Is it doing what we asked it to? What's this one? It's okay. Now it's building new questions. I like that. This is building. Let's check out our dashboard. Oh, okay. No, let's not do that. CD. We really had a different vision for this. We wanted to go for each of these. So I guess instead of that, CD, we'll go into, I don't know, Claude. What is Claude? Or how is Claude API different than Claude Code? Is Claude API different than Claude Code? So Claude Code is the CLI app. Claude API would stand for Claude Application Programming Interface, meaning when you're using other tools, you can call Claude to get the response from one of Anthropic's models or something else, like maybe your usage statistics. Find skills, that's a thing that we had learned earlier. I think init, what does init? So I guess we could just go through all of these instead. Init will initialize a new Claude MD file with code base. Actually, let's start from the beginning. Find skills will help us find skills for stuff that we're doing. Impeccable when the user wants to design, redesign, shape, critique, audit, polish, or clarify. You might have to install this one and this one in particular. Like specific, these are specific skills that I think I downloaded. Run a prompt or slash command on a recurring interval. Yeah, I guess like loop would be something important. How do I make a good Claude loop? Add directory, add a new working directory. Weird. We were using mkdir for that. Let Claude consult a stronger model at key moments. That's interesting. We might do that with a different project. But okay, so now we have agents, manage agent configurations. We shouldn't have done that. Not while that's going off. Auto fix PR and auto fix any issues with the current pull request. That's wise. The like usually in project develop or like software development, you're not really as all over the place as I am with these things. Usually you're working with a team on a shared goal with declared like things that you want to hit. And maybe that's, and I say things that you want to hit, maybe what we can do with the rest of this video is fix our project dashboard, because like as we ask this thing questions, because I think that that's really important, that I start to converge on what like things what I want these things to actually look like instead of just experimenting. Branch, create a branch of the conversation. I think this one would be useful when you're having a conversation and let's say you're working on the front end versus working on the back end. Sometimes it's good to branch when both of them have like a deep understanding of what the project is about to become. That said, those two systems, front end and back end, are going to need a way to communicate with each other. Like they need to agree on a schema. They need an API. By the way, as an aside, without interrupting the main conversation, it's probably useful. I don't use it very much. Move this to a new working directory. Oh, that's cool. Chrome, open Claude. in Chrome beta settings. I've never seen that one. Open Claude Code in Chrome. I guess it's just Claude in Chrome. We can clear the conversation. Color, set the prompt bar color for this session. That could probably help for when you have a bunch running at once. Like I just know that this is going to be moving in the right direction. Compact, free up context by summarizing the conversation so far. Use this regularly. You'll run up a token budget if you don't. Open settings, context, visualize current context as a colored grid. That's probably cool. We might want to use that. Copy Claude's last response to clipboard. Oh, that's super useful. That's great for, well, one excellent use case for this is when you're working with these systems and you get to a place where you get this big response and you don't know what it's talking about and you don't want to break the context, maybe hit copy and then bring it over to a different model. You could go into Claude over here. I could bring it into ChatGPT or whatever. You got options. All right, so diff, view uncommitted changes. So some of these look like they're just casual Git commands, or like baked into Claude, which is pretty cool. Diagnose, you'll use this sometimes when Claude updates or if something breaks. Set effort level for model usage. Probably wise if you're not on the max model and you're not like pushing it to the limit, or if you are pushing it to the limit. Export the current conversation to a file or clipboard. That's pretty cool. Toggle fast mode. Wise sometimes. Submit feedback, report a bug, share your conversation. Focus. Toggle focus view, just your prompt. TS, the summary and response. Okay. Spawn a background agent that inherits the full conversation. Wise. Set a goal Claude checks before stopping. Oh, I haven't used that. I want to start using that. Help. Show help and available commands. I think that if I can form my project schema, or not my projects. So I like this notion of projects, objectives with KPIs, tasks that move the needle on the KPI. I think if the goal is to move the KPI, that would be cool, especially if it's some external validation thing where if your KPI, your key performance indicator, is like more views or more likes or more subscriptions, the system just won't stop. If you set a goal that's like, your goal is 10 views on this. Help. Hooks. View hook configurations for tool events. Might want to dive into that at some point. I've never actually looked through all of these, and I use this all the time and have given Claude probably over $1,000 this year. Set up Claude GitHub Actions for a repo, install the Claude Slack app, key bindings, shortcuts file, sign in, sign out, MCP, manage all the different capabilities, the model context protocol servers, MCP servers, memory, open a memory file in my editor, show QR code to download the Claude mobile app. The remote control one's actually really cool. We're going to get to that soon. Share a free week of Claude Code with friends and earn usage credits. Hit me up if you know me and you're afraid to get started. Sounds like I have the ability to do this. We don't want to. No. And we're back. Let's just go through the rest. The auto-generated answer spread came out. Be heavy. Harmless for learning, but if you want it flatter on the camera look, I could shuffle the pattern. I don't know if do these exist yet? I might have to refresh. I bet oh no, this is, no, not my, eval. Okay. How do I answer? Oh, there it is. When does Claude Code load the MD5? At the beginning, once that session launch injected. What are some example projects where getting logic into very small can be a stress test? Okay, what is the defining constraint that makes fitting logic into tiny hardware a stress test? Unlimited RAM, but a slow no. Fixed tiny resources you cannot add after shipping. Yeah. What is a use case where the size of the chip substrate matters so much that optimal computing is necessary to show the juxtaposition between the web app? One thing that I noticed that I don't like is I feel like just a thought. I feel like this. think we can do a little better here. I feel like this is a strange presentation decision. Like the two gradial lines. I don't know. It's weird. We just want to go through this. Why must an autocephalous edge device, the octopus arm model, decide locally instead of checking a server? Renting servers is more expensive. It is purely often there is no connectivity. This is what I would go with. Latency would be lethal or pointless, and transmitting costs scarce power. What is TinyML? What does quantization do in TinyML? Interesting. Encrypts the model so it cannot be copied. Not true. Converts the model's numbers from 32-bit floats to small integers so it fits to run on tiny hardware. I think so. Yes, I think so. So quantization, from my understanding, is the means by which we can compress models. So if we have 32-bit floats and we turn them into small integers, it's obviously going to be able to run better on smaller hardware. That said, I've done quantization with like a, what is it, PyTorch. Honestly, it just felt like I was running commands that someone else told me to do, though. So if you're like, I can't do what you do, you know all this stuff. I'm in the same boat in a lot of instances. Every now and then you just got to be confident. You just got to say, let me give it a shot. Someone else is doing it, and that other person doing it, don't be judgmental in a way where you're like trying to judge their soul. But I think it's good to be judgmental in the way where you're like, I could do that. I could do that better than they did that. You could probably do this better than I'm doing it. Without a doubt, you could. The name TensorFlow. What is a tensor? Vectors? Multi-dimensional array of numbers? Yeah. Seems like, okay, let's be real. The longer answer seems to be the right one. I might have to adjust that. What is the single most important distinction between the raw Claude API and Claude Code? The API uses a faster model. I don't think so. Claude Code runs the agent loop, while the bare API, one response and stops. The API can edit files. Claude Code talks to the model without code. Yeah. Awesome. So I'm pretty satisfied with how this came out. I bet it's, asking for permission to judge the image. We have this. Okay. So what we're going to do now is a little, what do I call it? It's crafty. CD potatoes dashboard, Claude. This dashboard I haven't used this dashboard. I haven't used this dashboard as much as I would like. I have some adjustments I would like to make. First off, let's just make sure there is a way I can hop to the next season / project easily. And remember the mapping. If it is not in, I can't see it because I can't navigate between projects. Is winter potatoes, spring potato core, winter, spring, summer, hot potato games, autumn, potato literature. Also, for our, we do want a feed of, we do want a recommended time block for every day, meaning that we post up a little calendar block for 4 hours tied to a KPI, one for each of these. However, also include potato. No, also include 4 hours tied to a KPI, one for each of these. What do I mean by this? What do I mean by this? What do I mean by this? I mean, whatever the current season's project is number one priority, beginning of the time block. After this, there is a 1 hour time block devoted to other. This is entropy. This will be exercise, food prep, reading, etc., non-project related. Then we will cycle between the other 3 projects, which go into the 3-hour 3 and hour 4 spot. This would be like hot potato games, objective, clean up, play, or objective, improve, play. KPI. What would our KPI be? I would say sessions. Sessions played with multiplayer sessions. Multiplayer sessions completed. Multiplayer sessions completed, or feedback forms filled out, or time played. Then for potato literature, KPI, 10 pages of lore dump, or 1 fully edited and deployed comic, or 1 chapter of an actual story created, etc. Potatoes, and products added, etc. Products added, products sold, improve conversion rate, etc. The thing is, right now, I am not using this dashboard at all. Okay. So hopefully it does something. Drop the bar, text only. Okay, and in the meantime, let's ask, we might as well round this one out. So let's ask what all these things are. The field of AI. What is signal versus noise? What is the difference between a pattern and an outlier? What compare and contrast bias and variance? What is the difference? How does precision play into recall? How does precision play into recall? What is training and how does it affect inference? What is one way a model becomes overfit and a way that a model becomes underfit? What is hallucination and grounding in AI world? What is the difference between memory and stateless? Why is Why are REST APIs so common, and what makes them stateless? Meanwhile, what would be a stateful alternative? Convergence and divergence. What is convergence? What is divergence? We've already done these. Greedy sampling. I'm satisfied. Well, I guess no. We'll round it out. What is determinism? What is stochasticity? What is greedy sampling? What is temperature 0 versus temperature 1? What is generalization versus specialization in AI engineering? So I'm just going to like accept all of the things that it asks over here while all of those questions build up this wonderful little web app that we've made. What are some example projects for embedded hardware? We've already done that one. What is ML? What is TensorFlow? How is the Claude API different than Claude Code? In the field of AI, what is signal versus noise? Signal is, we're always looking to find signal. We want signal. We want to find what are people actually annoyed with? What are people really into? Like, perfect example would be maybe when I look into the camera and start asking these real questions, that is signal. On the other hand, when I'm yapping, talking to Claude Code or going meandering tangentially through a bunch of different projects, even right now, noise, who cares? You're tuning it out. And that's something important to note. When you're dealing with AI, you want to limit noise. You also want to parse through and feed through noise and get to the signal. A model that memorizes one-off quirks of its training data instead of the real underlying relationship is said to be what? I would say overfitting. Overfitting? Yeah, all right. What is the difference between a pattern and an outlier? In fraud detection, how should you usually treat a strong outlier? As signal, as a target you are actually trying to find. As proof the model has high bias, it's irrelevant since only patterns matter. Anomaly detection flips the usual logic. The outlier is the signal you want to catch, not noise to discard. Oh, that's an interesting way to put it, because like usually when you're trying to discuss trends or consumer behavior or something, you're probably going to be looking at what the average thing that people do is. And when someone, or like when people tell anecdotal story, like it's noise when it's all over the place, but it's signal. That noise becomes signal when you're trying to find what are some extreme consumer habits. Then you would look at the outliers. It's the same with fraud detection. Someone's doing something all the time. That would mean that in fraud detection systems, detecting anomalies, if you can match the behavior of the person that you're like defrauding, that would probably make for more robust mechanisms for scheming. It's not a good thing, but that just means that the models have to get better. And like there's actually a lot there. So can you compare and contrast bias and variance? A model predicts wildly different things when retrained on slightly different samples of the same data. A model predicts wildly different things when retrained on slightly different samples of the same data. High variance, overfitting, high bias on slightly different. A model predicts wildly different things when retrained on slightly different. High variance? Yeah, all right. Sensitivity to the exact same training sample. Predictions swing with small data changes. It's high variance, the hallmark of overfitting. How does precision play into recall? A cancer screening test is tuned so it almost never misses a real case, even though it raises some false alarms. Which metric is being prioritized? Precision at the expense of recall. F1 score. Oh, we might want to. It's not F1 score. Accuracy, ignoring both. Precision. Ooh, wow, I'm wrong here. Recall. Catching nearly all few false negatives maximizes recall. I was thinking, oh yeah, okay. Accuracy versus precision. Like, okay. Because with precision, the example they usually give It's this grouping of arrows. Low accuracy, it's off the mark, but high precision. High accuracy, high precision. The grouping is together. High accuracy, it's all around the center, but low precision, it's around the center. It's not all in the center. Low everything. So catching nearly all true cases, few false negatives, maximizes recall. I'll have to do some studying. Both judge on a classifier on the positive class and they trade off against each other. Take a spam filter. Precision test asks, of everything the model flagged as positive, how much was actually positive? It punishes false alarms. Did we wrongly trash real email? Recall asks, of all the actual positives out there, how many did the model catch? It punishes misses, the interplay. Make the model trigger happy and flag everything, and recall rises, but precision falls. Many false alarms. Make it cautious and flag only when certain, and precision rises, but recall falls. You miss real cases. Which you favor depends on stakes. Cancer screening wants high recall. Never miss a case. Tolerate false alarms. While spam filter wants high precision. Never trash a real email. Tolerate some spam getting through. Accurate. Okay, it's probably asking me questions. That's why there's not more. Give that one a go. Give that one a go. I also think that we are. Oh no, I was supposed to hit yes over here. Yeah, we'll demonstrate. We'll go live with this. Ooh, did it just do this again? Oh yeah, we lost all that. I hit yes, and all this was already ready. Amazing. So what is training and how does it affect? If you want to finish the rest of this or take the tests on your own, and I think they should be for everything in the past and everything moving forward. That's so cool. So cool. It just makes this automation runbooks. What makes an automation runbook different than a traditional written runbook? It is stored in the cloud. Nope. It can only handle backups, never incident. It removes the need for any escalation. Its steps are encoded as scripts that execute when triggered rather than English. That's it. So yeah, we've got all these now. I wonder if the brochure is any good. Not too bad. Since we have so many here, I'm curious what this brochure looks like. If it has one, looks like it doesn't have one. I wonder if it only did it for the first, or is it at the end? Interesting. You have failed me for the last. Oh, there it is. Oh, maybe it does it work on rendering it while it's here? That would be mad, lad. I don't think so. Does it? Maybe. Is it still working on it? Oh yeah, it's over here. This one was pretty long. Once this one wraps up, I think I'm going to wrap up this video. I'm satisfied. I want to work more on that explore the cell thing. That's the hot potato games one. I'm going to take my dog for a walk. Go walkies. And we'll call it a day. Refresh the dev server. Did it work? We are going to pull this over here. And all we do for our CI/CD to kick off, day 15, git push. Now, if we just keep refreshing this, I'm not going to go crazy on it, but we'll go live. So remember, potatoes, hot potato games, potato core, potato literature. Why potatoes? Why not? Take it easy.